There are mornings when you wake up and you've already lost. The alarm hasn't even gone off yet, but your soul knows it's been running all night, sprinting through corridors of worry while your body lay motionless under thin blankets. You open your eyes and the defeat is already there, waiting for you like a loyal dog you never asked for. Mai knows this feeling intimately. She's sitting at her kitchen table at 5:30 in the morning, and the ginger tea she made last night, was it last night? Or the night before, has gone cold in her hands. The mug is one of those ceramic ones with a chip on the rim, the kind you keep because it fits your palm perfectly even though it's technically broken. She's been holding it for 40 minutes without taking a sip. The kitchen light above her is that weak yellow glow that makes everything look like a memory you're trying to forget. It flickers sometimes, just slightly, like it's also tired of pretending. Outside, the winter rain isn't falling so much as hanging in the air, that fine, persistent mist that soaks through everything eventually. The first motorbikes of the day are starting their reluctant engines, their headlights cutting weak paths through the gray. She hasn't slept. Not a minute. Her eyes are red-rimmed and raw, the kind of red that comes from crying and then stopping and then starting again without warning. Her shoulders carry an invisible weight that would register on a scale if scales could measure such things. On the table before her, the evidence of her life is spread out like exhibits in a trial she didn't know she was attending. Bills unopened, their windows promising amounts she doesn't have. Her phone screen lights up periodically with messages from her sister in the province. Mom's fever isn't breaking. The doctors want to run more tests. Can you send money? She hasn't replied yet. What would she even say? I'm drowning here too doesn't feel like an acceptable answer. But the real bomb, the one that detonated her ability to sleep, is the email she found at 11 p.m. Her husband, the man she's shared 18 years of bedsheets and budgets and breathing with, has accepted a 3-month work assignment in another city. 3 months. He didn't ask. He didn't discuss. He informed, in the same tone you might use to tell someone you've changed your lunch order. I thought you'd be happy about the extra income, he said when she confronted him. Happy was not the word she would have chosen. And then there's their son. Their firstborn, the one who came into the world screaming with such ferocity that the nurses laughed and said he'd be a leader. He's 19 now, and he hasn't left his room in 3 weeks except to use the bathroom. The college entrance exam results came back, and the numbers on the screen were a door slamming shut. He doesn't say it, but Mai knows he's disappearing into a darkness she can't reach. She knocks. She leaves food. She prays outside his door like a beggar at a gate. The silence that answers her is the loudest sound she's ever heard. So here she is. 5:30 a.m. Cold tea. Cold kitchen. Cold everything. Mai reaches for the worn Bible on the corner of the table. The leather cover is cracked, the gold-edged pages smudged from years of fingers turning them in desperation and hope. She opens it not with the reverence of a saint but with the rough urgency of a woman who needs answers or she might stop believing there are any. Psalm 13. The words hit her like they were written this morning, for this kitchen, for this woman. How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? She reads it again. And again. And something inside her cracks open. Because here's the truth she's been too afraid to say out loud, too afraid to whisper even to herself in the dark. She's angry at God. There. She admitted it. She's furious. She has given this man 20 years of Sunday mornings and Wednesday night prayers and offerings she couldn't afford. She has served on committees and cooked meals for grieving families and believed, really, truly believed, that if you do the right things and say the right prayers and keep showing up, God shows up too. But her marriage is a freezer. Her son is disappearing. Her mother is sick 300 kilometers away. And the bank account laughs at her when she checks the balance. Where is the God of the promises? Where is the blessed family she prayed for on her wedding day, standing in her white dress with flowers in her hands and stars in her eyes, believing with every cell of her 24-year-old heart that love and faith were enough to build a life on. She wants to throw the Bible across the room. She also wants to clutch it to her chest and never let go. Both impulses are true. Both are happening at the same time. Mai puts her head down on the table, right next to the overdue electricity bill. The wood is cool against her forehead. She doesn't pray with words, she's run out of those. She just breathes. And in that breathing, something raw and real rises up from a place deeper than theology, deeper than doctrine, deeper than the polished Sunday school answers. I don't understand you. I don't know if any of this is working. I don't know if my faith is real or just a story I've been telling myself so I don't fall apart. But I'm still here. I'm still opening this book. I'm still showing up. Is that enough? Is any of this enough? The question hangs in the cold kitchen air, unanswered. And then her phone rings. The screen lights up with a name that makes her stomach drop, her sister. Calling at 5:30 in the morning. Calls at this hour are never good news. Never. Mai picks up, and her sister's voice is shaking. Mom took a turn overnight. The doctors say you need to come. They're not sure how much time. The sentence doesn't finish. It doesn't need to. Mai looks at the Bible still open to Psalm 13. She looks at the cold tea. She looks at the bills. She looks at the hallway leading to her son's closed door. Her mother. Tai bien. Again. The first time was 3 years ago, a warning shot, the doctors called it. She recovered. She always recovered. Mai's mother was that woman. And now that woman, the prayer warrior, the anchor, the one person on this entire planet who never stopped believing God would show up, is lying in a hospital bed 200 kilometers away, half her body refusing to move. She thinks about the last time she saw her. 3 months ago. A quick weekend visit that wasn't nearly long enough. Her mother had made pho from scratch, stood over that steaming pot for hours even though her legs were hurting, because she knew it was Mai's favorite. She'd pressed 100,000 dong into Mai's hand as she was leaving, money she absolutely did not have to give, and said, for the boy. Buy him something he likes. Mai had tried to refuse. Her mother had refused her refusal. That was their dance. That had always been their dance. And now that hand, the one that stirred soup and pressed money into palms and folded in prayer for decades, can't move. She walks down the hallway toward her son's room, pauses outside the closed door. 3 weeks. He's been in there for 3 weeks, only coming out to use the bathroom and grab food when he's sure no one else is around. She's tried everything, gentle questions, firm demands, bribes, threats, tears. Nothing works. The door stays closed. The boy stays hidden. And she has no idea what's happening to him, no idea how to reach him, no idea if this is just teenage angst or something far darker that she's not equipped to handle. She raises her hand to knock, then lowers it. What would she even say? Your grandmother is dying and I need you to come with me? Your father is leaving for a business trip and I can't do this alone? I'm falling apart and I need you to hold me together? No. That's not fair. He's 18. He's a child in so many ways, even if the law says he's a man. She can't put this on him. She walks away from the door, grabs her keys, and gets in the car. The drive to the provincial hospital takes 3 hours. 3 hours of highway and rice paddies and small towns blurring past her window. 3 hours of her mind running laps around the same terrifying track. What if she doesn't make it? What if she makes it but her mother doesn't know who she is? What if this is the beginning of the end? What if? She calls her husband from the road. The conversation is short. Clinical. He's sorry to hear about her mother. Yes, the business trip is still happening, it's important, he can't cancel, the company is counting on him. No, he doesn't know when he'll be back. Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe a month. His voice is distant, distracted, like he's already mentally checked out and halfway to wherever he's going. Mai wants to scream at him. She wants to beg him to stay. She wants to ask him when exactly their marriage became this, two strangers who share a last name and a mortgage and a son they're both failing. But she doesn't say any of that. She says, "Okay. I understand. We'll manage." Because that's what she does. That's what she's always done. Manage. Cope. Hold it together while everything falls apart around her. She hangs up and the silence in the car is deafening. By the time she reaches the hospital, it's raining. Not a gentle rain either. This is the kind of rain that comes down in sheets, that turns parking lots into lakes, that makes the world outside your windshield look like a watercolor painting someone left out in the storm. Mai sits in her old car in the hospital parking lot and watches the rain slide down the glass. The wipers are off. The engine is off. She's just sitting there, hands still gripping the steering wheel, and she finally says it out loud. God. Why all at once? I can't do this. I don't have enough. I'm not enough. The words hang in the air. No answer comes. No peace descends. Just the rain and the cold and the fluorescent glow of the hospital windows in the distance. She makes herself get out of the car. Makes herself walk through the sliding glass doors. Makes herself find the room number her sister texted her. But before she goes in, she stops in the bathroom. She needs a minute. Just 1 minute to pull herself together before she has to be strong for everyone else. That's where she breaks. Standing in front of the mirror, gripping the edges of the sink, she lets the tears come again. Ugly crying. The kind you don't want anyone to see. The kind that makes your nose run and your chest heave and your makeup, what little she bothered to put on this morning, streak down your face in gray rivers. And then the door opens. An older woman walks in. She's wearing the pale blue uniform of a hospital orderly. Her name tag says Tuet. She's probably in her 60s, with kind eyes and calloused hands and the kind of face that has seen a lot of suffering and somehow come out the other side still soft. Mai immediately straightens up, wipes at her face, mumbles an apology. I'm sorry. I'll be out of your way in a second. But Tuet doesn't leave. She doesn't say anything at first. She just reaches over, pulls a handful of paper towels from the dispenser, and holds them out to Mai. And then she speaks. 20 years ago, she says, her voice quiet and steady, my only son took his own life. He was 23 years old. I found him in his apartment. I was the one who had to call his father. I was the one who had to plan the funeral. I was the one who had to keep living after. Mai freezes. The paper towels are still in her hand. She can't move. She can't speak. For 7 years, Tuet continues, I was furious at God. Not just angry. Furious. I screamed at him. I cursed him. I told him I wanted nothing to do with a God who would let a mother bury her child. I stopped going to church. I stopped praying. I threw my Bible in the trash. Twice. A small, sad smile crosses her face. The second time, I had to go buy a new one just so I could throw it away again. Mai doesn't know what to say. She looks at her own reflection, eyes red-rimmed, mascara wrecked, face blotchy, and for the first time in 18 years, she doesn't try to fix it. She just stares at the woman in the mirror and thinks, that woman looks exactly how I feel. Broken. Spent. Done. But eventually she splashes cold water on her face, not to hide the tears, just to feel something other than the crushing weight in her chest, and walks out into the corridor. She reaches her mother's room. Room 317. She's been walking toward this door for 3 hours. Because once she opens that door, it's real. Her mother, the prayer warrior, the woman who taught her to fold her hands and bow her head before she could even form sentences, is lying in a hospital bed hooked up to machines that beep and hiss and measure the fragile distance between life and death. And Mai doesn't have a prayer to pray. She doesn't have faith to hold on to. She doesn't have anything except exhaustion and questions and a God she's not even sure she trusts anymore. She lets her hand drop from the door handle. She turns away. She walks. She doesn't know where she's going until she finds herself standing in front of a small door at the end of a quiet corridor. The sign beside it reads, "Chapel. Open to all." The letters are faded, gold paint flaking off wood that's been touched by 1,000 desperate hands before hers. She pushes the door open. The chapel is small. Maybe seats 20 people. The walls are plain, no stained glass, no ornate carvings, just cream-colored paint and simple wooden pews. At the front, a plain wooden cross hangs above a small altar. A few candles flicker in red glass holders. The only light comes from those candles and a single window high up on the wall where the rain is still falling, casting watery shadows that move like prayers across the ceiling. And there's someone already here. A man. Kneeling in the front pew. His back is to her, but she knows that back. She's watched that back walk out the door every morning for 18 years. She's pressed her face against that back in bed on nights when the world felt too heavy. She's seen that back hunched over a laptop at 2 a.m., shoulders tight with the weight of providing for a family. Tuan. He doesn't hear her come in. His head is bowed. His hands are clasped so tight the knuckles are white. And he's talking, not the measured, controlled voice he uses in board meetings or when he's explaining things to their son. This voice is raw. Cracked. The voice of a man who has run out of strength and has nowhere left to hide. God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to help my wife. I don't know how to reach my son. I don't know how to save her mother. I've been pretending for 18 years that I have answers, but I don't have anything. I'm scared. I'm so tired. And I'm angry at you for letting all of this happen at once. I'm angry at myself for not being enough. I'm angry at everything. His voice breaks. His shoulders shake. He doesn't wipe the tears away. Mai stands frozen in the doorway. In 18 years of marriage, she has never, not once, seen her husband cry. Not when his father died. Not when they lost the baby before their son was born. Not during the financial crisis that nearly cost them their home. Tuan was the rock. The steady one. The one who said, "We'll get through this," and somehow made her believe it. And here he is. On his knees. Weeping. She walks forward. The old floorboards creak under her feet, and Tuan's head snaps up. For a moment they just look at each other, two people who have been married for nearly 2 decades, who have shared a bed and a bank account and a child, suddenly seeing each other for the first time. On Xin Loi, he whispers. His voice is hoarse. I canceled the trip. I didn't tell you. I drove 200 kilometers. I've been sitting here trying to pray for an hour and I can't find the words. Mai sinks down onto the pew beside him. She doesn't say it's okay. She doesn't say, I understand. She doesn't say any of the things she's been trained to say to make other people feel better. Instead, she reaches over and takes his hand, his strong, calloused hand that has held hers through labor and funerals and mortgage signings, and she says the most honest thing she's ever said to him. I can't either. I don't have words. I don't have faith. I don't have anything. And then they're both crying. Not the polite, controlled crying of adults who are embarrassed by their own emotions. The ugly kind. The kind with sounds, gasps and sobs and those deep, wrenching noises that come from somewhere below your ribcage. The kind Tuet talked about in the bathroom. The kind God himself hears even when you can't form a single coherent word. They stay like that for a long time. Two people who spent 18 years trying to be strong for each other, finally letting each other see the truth. They're not strong. They've never been strong. They've just been pretending. And somewhere in the middle of all that crying, my starts talking. Not a polished prayer. Not a declaration of faith. Just words. Raw and broken and honest. God, I don't understand. I don't understand why my mother is lying in that bed. I don't understand why my son won't talk to us. I don't understand why everything is falling apart at the same time. I've tried so hard to trust you. I've tried so hard to believe. But right now I don't feel your presence. I don't feel your peace. I feel alone and scared and angry. She pauses. Takes a shaky breath. Tuan squeezes her hand. But Tuet, this woman I met in the bathroom tonight, she told me something. She said she was angry at you for 7 years after her son died. 7 years of screaming and cursing and throwing her Bible in the trash. And you didn't strike her down. You didn't abandon her. You waited. You stayed. The candlelight flickers. The rain keeps falling against the window. And I realized something, Mai continues, her voice growing steadier.